right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Friday Forum. This is Dave Rankin, President and CEO of TEFL Pros, and I'm wishing you all a happy Friday. Hope the week was well. Hope we're gearing up for the holiday season. If you're in the United States, hey, we got some turkey in a week, don't we? I just picked mine up this week. My family, we're doing our Thanksgiving this weekend because we don't get the luxury of a Thursday off, things like that. So we're getting the friends and family together here at my place. Got a big turkey, gonna carve it up, old school stuffing style, family recipe, various side dishes and whatnot, and we're really excited for it. It's always been a highlight ever since I came into this family all those years ago. So I hope you, yours, and your family are gearing up for that as well. Let's try our best to keep political commentary to a minimum. I know it's going to be a little bit of a hot topic. I think the turkey may not be the hottest thing on the menu this Thanksgiving, but I hope you guys have a great time and you be safe and you be with friends, family, and surrounded by those you love. So our topic this week, once again, as I think you're starting to see, if you've been following our Friday forums, I'm alternating between three general topics, because there's three kind of pillars that we want to focus on at TEFL Pros that I think will be most worthwhile for the casual listener, the current student, people who are thinking about becoming students, so you can know what our focus is. The first one, of course, is being an ESL teacher, being a teacher who teaches English as a second language to the denizens of the world, whether it be online or in their home countries, or maybe even in your own home country. The second pillar is focusing on relocation, global relocation, because a lot of times when you get certified to teach English, it's a vehicle for you to pick up and go somewhere. And, whether or not your passion is for teaching, of course, teachers are always needed anywhere you are. It's a lot of times a means to be able to travel the world and experience different cultures. And to a lot of people, especially a lot of my clients, from a visa standpoint, you're not really there until you're there. So we want to focus on that. Maybe some things that you didn't think of right away, maybe what to expect, maybe even just some thoughtful words to put to rest any worries you may have about the global relocation process, no matter where you're looking at. And once again, I know I leaned into that heavy in my last video, but if you do have the ability to do so, I would recommend it. Almost like a military consignment. Get out, go somewhere, even if it's just for like half a year or so. The experience will melt your mind. But that was last week. I don't like to do two topics in a row. Like, I don't want to do two of the same categories in a row. And that takes us to our third pillar. Our third pillar is slightly outside of those previous two topics, because I think the Venn diagram of those two things can fit together pretty well. But this one, while it does involve itself in those categories, it also extends itself to a lot of other attributes and experiences as well. And that's the idea of entrepreneurship, brand building yourself as a business, and also looking through the TEFL and relocation experience and the personal journey that all that encompasses through the lens of an entrepreneur. because that is, I think, a mentality that does not get a lot of focus in today's world when it comes to TEFL, ESL, things like that. Um, a lot of perception and training for you to be a teacher, I think, comes with it the idea that you are going to be in a classroom with a 9 to 5 salaried position that pays your taxes, your bills, things like that. And while those jobs exist, there's a lot of them. There are even more where you need to approach your skill set. You need to approach your abilities, the training that you have taken on with a much more individualized mentality. And this is something that I think not a lot of people are ready for. This is something that is not really spoken of in a lot of TEFL courses. This is not something that I was prepared for when I took my TEFL course all those years ago. When you think of a teacher, you think of a classroom with lots of people, usually younger people. You think of a school. You don't necessarily think of an individual who is kind of on the go, on the move, who is out there sharing their skills, their experiences. However, such a large portion of TEFL teachers out there do just that, that I think at least today in this snowy November, at least, snowing in the Czech Republic. I know the USA, at least the East Coast, got it pretty good today as well. I think today would be a good day to have that chat, to have that conversation. So once again, there's another mystery solved. There's another piece of the TEFL puzzle that you will understand going into it. And as we talked about it last week, the week before, the more we know, the less fear there is. And the less fear there is, the more confident we are in our decisions, in the moves that we make. And of course, these are moves that we make that can change our lives. So of course, if this is something that is so important, we want to remove as much fear as we can from that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm glad to have you here for it. So let's talk about the mental approach to being a TEFL teacher in the ether, in the world. All right. So we're going to kind of shelve the idea of teaching jobs that put you in a classroom, pay you 9 to 5, pay your health insurance, tax, things like that. You are now an independent contractor. You are now being paid on a per diem basis as an English teacher. That's what a lot of the online schools do. That's what a lot of the language schools do. It's not a matter of them covering your front to back. It's not going to 9 to 5 all week. You are going to have to be a little bit more tenacious in your approach, which is totally fine. To me, at least, I think that's half the fun, is that you do get to work as an entrepreneur. Of course, with this company, with my other companies, I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and you're going to get a taste of that as well. And what you're going to do is you are going to work with multiple schools, businesses, online, in person, a mixture of all of them. And you're going to assemble your schedule. You are going to assemble your craft. You are going to be able to identify what kind of teacher you are. And I think that's the best part, because we all teach a little bit differently. I know when you get started with teaching, you have this idea of what the perfect teacher is. And for me, it was this very well-rounded teacher. I thought of teachers that I liked, that I enjoyed. This well-rounded teacher that knows all the answers to all the questions, almost like this guru of linguistics. And your job is to know it all and be able to explain it all. And if it is anything but that, then you're not a good teacher, which I think is a complete load of succotash. Um, you define yourself as a teacher and you have your strengths. I think a few weeks ago, I made a football reference where you figure out what position you want to play. Whether you are a good conversation teacher, whether you are just good at holding a conversation, keeping it meaningful, keeping it well organized, being able to deliver information that way. Maybe you're a grammar person. Maybe grammar's your thing and you can illustrate charts and graphs on whiteboards or chalkboards with various illustrations and timelines showcasing meaning and usage. And if you are that, I bow to you because I am not that. I'm the conversation guy. And I spent over a decade as a conversation teacher. That was my gift. That's what I was able to perfect. And so I leaned into it. That was my character. I had a very anti-teacher vibe with my students. I was able to connect with them and get them to learn and grow their English skills through conversation, understanding, discussions, psychology, philosophy, sociology. Those were my skills. And other people have different skills. And that is why the individual brand is so important. And that's why you need to figure out what is your angle and just set aside this notion that you need to be this walking linguistic genius. Because first off, if you're a walking linguistic genius after 120 hours, what are we all doing here? It discounts all of the time spent growing and developing yourself after you took your course, things like that. And also, of course, when you focus on yourself as a brand, as an individual, being able to grow yourself as a teacher, that is the magical moment when a job becomes a career. And that is something big that I think is also worth discussing. I did this unit with my students. We talked about careers. It's one of our end of year topics for what in the Czech Republic we call maturita, which is like an end of year exam where students pick a random topic and have to talk about it for like 15 minutes. One of them is jobs and careers. And I think a lot of times we give a lot of focus to the job, but not a lot of focus to the career. So I think, the first things first, what's the difference? What's the difference between a job and a career? Well, simply put, I think a job is a task that you perform in exchange for financial compensation. It's a job. It's the thing you do, right? So me, when I was a teacher at my high school, that was a job. I went there. I held my classes. I graded my papers. I attended very, very long-winded staff meetings. And once a month, I got paid. Job. But what is a career? What differentiates that from a career? I think the biggest separation is that a career could be a series of jobs. A career is a fixated goal that takes many forms as you grow and develop it and turn it into this long journey. And until you can get in that, until you can get into that mode, you're going to focus on jobs. And I think those who focus on jobs, and this goes back, I think, 2 videos or two discourses ago. If you focus on jobs, you're ultimately going to be disappointed because, first off, as a rule of thumb, no one, generally no one, ever gets paid as much as they think they deserve. And whether it be, minimum wage, whether it be large amounts, there is an element of disappointment in that. And secondly, when you focus on the job and not the career, you tend to focus more on keeping that job when you should be focused on developing a career. If you focus on keeping a job, then you're limiting your optics to whatever that job requires you to do. You're focused more on the task, the item, what you are delivering, and not your personal growth and development. Because if you focus on growth and development, you will go through different jobs. You will outgrow specific jobs. You will outgrow where you are. And when you say that this job is not accommodating for me anymore, it's not you being a bad worker. It's not you being a bad employee. It's you growing beyond it. And then you find a new job that can accommodate you. And that journey is the career. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's terrifying. It is terrifying to actually say, look, I might be safe and comfortable in this job, but my career demands I keep going. My career demands that I keep on developing myself, and I have developed myself past the point of what this job can offer. The only reason I'm keeping this job is for salary and for security. And if those are your goals, then a career was never going to happen. And I think a lot of times that's where we stump ourselves developmentally. So what does it take to have a career as a TEFL teacher? That's one thing that a lot of people have been asking me on this forum. A lot of people who are currently listening in right now, who we spoke to before the video started. There's a separation, of course, of job with career, because the career keeps on going. And the career can take you to many different places. Some people start with language schools, teaching adults, maybe online, maybe face-to-face, and you develop your skill set. Maybe you work for a language school. All right, sounds good. You're getting, paid on an hourly basis. You're getting paid an hourly wage, things like that. You're focused on the job, but you're growing yourself. That's what you're doing. Maybe along the way, you get some more certifications. In the Czech Republic, after I got my TEFL certificate, mind you, the only thing I had in the Czech Republic that granted me any sort of legitimacy in the teaching environment was my 120-hour TEFL certificate. That was it. Nothing else. I mean, I was a truck driver before I came to Czech Republic. I had not taught anything to anyone. Maybe I taught some friends like some, bar magic tricks or something like that, but not much beyond that. But that's, once I got certified, that wasn't the end of the journey. I became a high school teacher. So I made sure that while I was teaching high school, I picked up another certificate on how to grade end of year exams. And that's certified by the Czech state. Cool. All right. So now I got that going for me. So now I have a TEFL certificate. I have a teaching background that I'm accumulating year after year after year. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why I'm flexing right now, saying, oh my God, I was a teacher for 10 years. It's impressive once you've done it, but you have to get there first. Then I decided to get an actual state certified teacher certificate through a local university in the Czech Republic. So I enrolled in some courses, and they were online, and they were very droll. They were drab. I was the only American, and oh man, shout out to the school director. She was a sweet, kind old lady from the Czech Republic, and I don't think she was ready for my craziness. But we got through it step by step, piece by piece. It took patience, it took time, it cost money, but those certificates now means that essentially at any point in time, I can be a teacher in the Czech Republic. These teaching certifications are valid in any other country that accepts Hague Convention, we'll say, issued certificates. And that was growth. And now I can use those to land very valuable teaching jobs anywhere I want to go. Frankly, I'd stay here. I like where I am, but that's part of the journey. That is the career. I taught in 4 different high schools. I taught in language schools. I taught at a daycare. I taught at an elementary school. Those are all parts of what amounted to the career. And I think that is the journey that we're going on, not just the geographic one, but we're also growing ourselves and our brand, things of that nature. So that's, I think, a big difference between jobs and careers. And of course, with different jobs, the more you go through, the more experience you'll have. And of course, that's when the pay gets better too. That's the big part. I do have a lot of clients. They come up to me and they say, hey, the pay is not too hot. So-and-so is making more than me. I can barely cover expenses. What's up? And I said, don't worry, give it time. Give it time. The more you do it, the more you grow. And this isn't just teaching. This is anything. If you commit yourself to a skill set and a field of, study, growth, development, you will become more valuable over time. You will just grow with it, and it almost comes naturally. Envision yourself when you learned how to ride a bicycle. Now, of course, not all of us have the stamina to do a Tour de France, but what did you do? You started with training wheels. You started just by being able to figure out how to sit on the damn thing. Then, you were able to sit on it while a parent pushed you. Then you were able to start pedaling. Then, literally, metaphorically, the training wheels came off. And you started riding a bike. You fell, you skinned your knees. It wasn't the most beautiful process, but ultimately you got to the point where you were able to fundamentally ride a bicycle, understand the mechanics of it, understand the physics of it, being able to understand speeding up, slowing down, different types of bicycles, mountain bikes versus street bikes, things like that. These are all things that just came with time, practice, and involvement in the activity. And jobs leading to careers are no different. You have to trust the system and the timeline, but it'll only work for you if you involve yourself in it. So when you're teaching, once you have your TEFL certificate and you're out there, there could be some teaching jobs that, hey, may not pay the best. Jobs that might be a little bit more grittier, things like that. Go through it. Figure it out. Learn from it. Don't do it forever. I mean, if it upsets you or it takes away from, your general sanity, which a lot of teaching can do, I mean, don't do it forever, but take something from it. I taught 2-year-olds for 3 weeks. Worst 3 weeks ever. But now I know what it's like to teach 2-year-olds. Not for a long time, but I learned a little bit. Um, I said I taught elementary school kids for about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, somewhere in that area. Wasn't a big fan. Those kids are hyperactive. Can't wait till till mine's a teenager. But you learn from it and you grow from it. If you are listening to this and you are maybe at the end of your career, maybe you've already gone through it. Think of the steps that you went through in developing your skill that led to your career, the changes you made, the company you kept, the company you left, the lessons you learned. Great jobs, terrible jobs, but all learning. All of it was a learning process. And I think that is the value that we take from that. And I think a lot of times that is a value that a lot of people can discount just by assuming that I don't like it, it doesn't pay well, it's not worth my time. But these things are validated by you taking something from it. When I did my my podcast last week with David Cantu, I don't think we've actually posted that yet. I talked about how when I came to the Czech Republic, everything that happened beforehand became instantly validated. All the garbage sales jobs that I had, all of the, call center jobs I had where, people called me up just to tell me, what they thought of me. And it wasn't me personally, it was the company I represented. I had a job with a company where we were shutting off people's electricity in Texas for not paying, for them not paying their bills or whatever. And they would call me up and say, "You saw me, you piece of shit," just reading us the riot act, for no other reason than, them being frustrated with their situation. And we, as our job, had to sit there and take it. And man, that job sucked. I made a lot of friends at that job. I think of all the jobs I had, that's probably where most of my friends lie. So if you're listening to this and you worked with me at, what was it called? Like, I don't even know if I want to say the name of the company, but it was located in South Point. Shout out to you guys. That company, as much of a pain in the butt as it was working there, man, that prepared me to take heat in the sales world, in the education world, being able to build and grow companies and face adversity, because frankly, I mean, there's nothing that anyone can call me that I haven't been called already from some bloke down in, Fort Worth who was 10 months behind on his electricity bills. It became validated. The sales jobs, those became validated. The communication jobs I had, where I had to practice communicating and, reaching a certain goal with people, all of that became validated. All that became part of the career that I'm on to now. And I think we should, maybe give our history a little bit of a tip of the hat. And if we have no history, if you want to start growing these skills, look past the money and look at what you can get from it. Hey, can you take a job that involves direct sales, that involves speaking to people? They're not going to pay you a ton of money, but you're going to get out there and you're going to be able to speak to people a lot more confidently. That's where I, cut my teeth with public speaking. And now, I talk to, probably 1,000+ people every single year in some fashion or another, whether it's through the visa agency, through it's the TEFL school, whether it's my corporate clients, things like that. There's a lot of communications that take place here. And the only reason I have any sort of relative skill in that is because I practiced at it, because I grew it, because I developed it. That's the idea behind it. So when it comes to you as a teacher or a worker or an individual, um, if you can switch the focus to, I would say, your own personal growth and development and away from salary and job security, you'll find yourself able to grow faster and more effectively. It's going to come with more headaches and it'll be a lot more volatile because jobs will come and go. No one likes the fear of not having a job. It's almost like a relationship, right? We all fear of being alone, just like fear of not having a job or a source of income that is waiting for you right here. However, with that um, assumed risk, you'll be able to grow yourself more developmentally. And you can plan for these things. You can, set money aside and plan to be without a job for 2 or 3 months as you grow yourself. And I think when you gamify, I guess is a good word, when you gamify that process, um, that's when you're going to see real growth and development within your career, within your within people's perception of you within that community as well. Um, I said, it's when I started teaching, I did not for 1 minute think that I would be the person having a TEFL school of being able to uh, give, help, growth tips, things like that to incoming ESL teachers. This is something I never envisioned in 100 years. But here we are, and all I'm doing from for these Friday forums is I'm just pulling from experiences for my own personal growth. And I'm delivering it to you in a way that has, this is not the first time I've explained any of these things, whether it's to a client, whether it's to a classroom. I'm delivering them in a way that makes it more understandable from someone who's in the process. Because when you have a job, when you have a paycheck, when you are safe, but you're frustrated that it's not going anywhere, it is very hard to turn away from that without someone tapping you on the shoulder and saying, this is potentially the right thing. That's why I'm doing it. And that's where the info comes from. And again, I'm real glad to have you guys here to talk about these things, to be able to go over the different elements that go into what we do. And as I said before, we're going to keep on going. I'm going to try and keep the rotation of these topics between just straight up English teaching, hacks, relocation advice, stories, things like that, and of course the business growth and development as well, because those were essentially those are the pillars that got me to where I am. And it's helped my clients achieve a lot of great things. And when you really boil it down, whether it's the Czech Republic, whether it's Southeast Asia, whether it's Central America, these are places where these tactics can work dramatically in your favor. And if you look at them from this perspective, it really kind of makes it so much more digestible. And also a lot less scary when it comes to moving places and experiencing new cultures, where you know that you don't have to just do one thing. And if that doesn't work out, you have to skedaddle. You can move from one division to another, one branch to another. And of course, all these different societies offer these different angles for you. So that's the idea behind that. And like I said, I think it's a really cool approach. I think that this is something that I think we can expand on a little bit more down the line. Like I said, we're not, I'm maybe 8 minutes off the last one, but I don't have to go 45 minutes every single time. But no, focus on yourselves, focus on your growth and development, and ask yourself, where do you want to be in 10 years? And then try to see how you're going to get there, not just logistically, but developmentally. So I hope this discourse today, this forum, has been helpful to you. Always great to talk to you guys. It really is. This Friday forum has become a little bit of a therapy for myself as well. And it's a great way to end the week. So again, I'll do another forum on Black Friday. I don't think people shop anymore on Black Friday. It's not really like the thing to do to line up, places, but I'll do another forum for you guys. And I said, you can either be in for it, or if you're doing stuff with family or you have a turkey hangover, then, you can just download it later, because I do post it to the YouTube channel afterwards. So if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, again, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, shoot me a message. I do love hearing from you guys. I love getting emails from you. I love getting messages, hearing, where your interests lie, and how we at TEFL Pros can help you grow and become, the teachers you're trying to be, not just a uniform foot soldier, of a teacher. There are many more facets to that, and we love being able to help craft the individual. So thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Please be safe over the holiday, and we'll catch you next Friday, guys. Cheers. Take care of yourselves.